So control flow statements is mainly for, let's take if you have a bunch of elements, we want to retrieve one by one. Okay, so at that time, how you can do that? In Java, we have a set of operations, different way you can get the data by using do while, for. Okay, so for each, there is a streaming. Okay, in Java 1.8, it has stream concepts is there. Inside the stream concept, it has for each. By using these different kind of approaches, you can retrieve the data from a set of elements. So how we can do that? Before getting to that, what is the loop? So loop is nothing but, let's take if you have a set of elements like 1 to 10 elements are there. You want to retrieve in iterative manner like 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 10. So how you can do in Java? By using this control flow statements. So in these control statements, while, do while, for, everything looks similar, but a little significance is there for each of them. If you see do while, the next slide, do while. So in this flowchart diagram, once the controller comes, then first statement is going to be execute. After that, condition will be validating. If condition is true, then again it's repeating the loop. Let's take if control, whatever the control is reached here and condition is failed, that means if it is not success, then it will be terminating from the loop. So this loop scenario, whatever it is doing it here, so in between we will write our iteration things. The syntax looks like will be here, do while. So do statement, it will be open braces and closed braces. Inside you can write the statements whatever the iteration is required. Then condition. So example will be like this, do statement while, here you can write the condition. Here a lesser than 10, then go to the loop and start doing it. So do while scenario, the first thing is when you can go for the do while or while. In your scenario, if you have at least one time execution is required. Let's take if loop statement must execute at least once, then we can use do while. That means let's take if you have one scenario, the scenario is needs to execute at once. After that, apply the condition, then you can go for the do while scenario. Similarly, the next while, if you see the flow is started, then immediately condition will come into the picture. If this condition is true, then inside the while loop statements will execute. If it is false, it will move out of the loop. So this is a while and a do while difference. While what it will do, first check the condition, then execute the body. But do while, first execute the body at once, then check the condition. If condition is success, then repeat the body again. Whatever the do inside statements is there, do the execution again. So this flow will be continue till this condition is success. Whenever it falls, then move out of the loop. But here, while scenario, first it will check the condition. If condition is success, then get into the body. If at any case, if it is failed, that means false, then it will move out of the loop. That is the difference between do and while. Okay, we will see one program for that. Let me write one program for this while and do while. Okay, so subsequently we will write for remaining for, and where you can use break, continue also. So here one thing, I'm taking array. Okay, so array concept will come after this control flow statements. But before that, I required some set of elements to retrieve. Okay, so that is the reason I'm going to take it an array at here. Okay, so array I will add it after some time within the this control flow itself. First, let's understand that do while and while, what is the difference and how the result is looks like. Okay, so let me write one example for that. Do while example, and before that control do while. See the naming convention, if you see everywhere I'm giving the concept name and followed by what is the subconcept. Internally, the naming convention I'm following the same way. Here it is conditional statements, then operators. So similarly here, control statement, then do while is the concept. Okay, public static void main. So here I'm going to iterate int a equal to 1. So I'm writing do while do system.out.println, just put it as a value, incrementing while a less than 10. You should put it as a semicolon at here. Okay, otherwise it will give you a compilation error. Semicolon, then here I'm writing as a outside loop, end of the do while. If I run this one, it's still building. So the result is 1 to 9. See here 1 to 9 is coming, but actually we are giving it as 10. The condition is here a lesser than 10. Okay, so that means whenever the 10 element is coming, then it will move out of the loop. So the result is from 1 to 9 get displayed and end of the do while. So how it going to do? First put the breakpoint here. I'm just debugging that. Okay, what is the result it's coming? See that the first one is a is 1. So here a is 1. Already we learned these operators a plus plus what it will be. I'm moving on to the next line. It's a, it is checking the condition. Okay, so a is having 2 lesser than 10. It's valid scenario. Then move on to the next. See here, like this it is move on till this condition is success. Whenever this condition is failed, then it will move out of the while loop. Okay, it's a 7, 8, 9. It's a 10. 10 lesser than 10. That is not the true. So then it will move out of the loop. Okay, so then the result is this one 1 to 9, end of the do while. Okay, so this is the way you can display the values. The next thing is it have some conditions. Okay, rules are there. Let's take if you're writing do and while, in between if you write some statement. So if you write some statement at here, system.out.println, this is not the valid. Do is there, and immediately you should write while. In between if you write any statement, this is invalid. Okay, so here it is showing it as error. So that means you should not write any statement in between do and while. The next thing is here it is always will return true and false. It's expecting the value should be true and false. Okay, so that is conditional related. If you give it as a numerical, let's take if I give it a numerical 100. See here, instead of this condition, if I give it a numerical, it will not accept it. It always, see here, it requires boolean type, but you are providing as a integer. So you should not give the numerical directly over there. That is the one of the condition at here. The next thing is if you put it semicolon at here, it will give the error, but when you are going to give the semicolon next to do, so that means you are saying I don't have any statements, it's a blank condition. But this is not the valid scenario. Here you need to be modify the code. Should not put the semicolon like this. That is the one thing. And after that, this increment operator is required here. If you are not giving the increment operator, okay, let's see that what will happen. I remove the increment operator. If I'm going to run, see here, this loop is keep on continuing. See, this result is infinity. So still my process is running and it is keep on running. Okay, so this is not the valid scenario. You have to give the increment operator, otherwise your flow will be infinity. So I'm just terminating abnormally. I'm putting it as increment operator back. If you run it now, it will be success. 1 to 9. So this is the do while scenario. Okay, so first statement executed once, then condition. Okay, so when you are going to run and when you see the debugger, so first this statement executed, after that it validated the condition. The next thing is while scenario. While scenario, how it will be, we are not going to write do while here. Directly this condition will come here, then it start processing. It will validate this condition. If it is success, then get into the loop. That is for while scenario. Okay, so we will write that while also. So let me right click Java, control while example, public static void main int a is equal to 1, while a lesser than 10, system.out.println a value, so increment end of the loop. See here, this gets the same result, but how it looks like, the process how it will be. Let me put the debug point here. If you debug, see that first it is validating the condition. See here, the result is true, then it will get into the while loop statement, then increment to, like that it will be. So that is the difference between do while and while. Okay, but here also be the same rules. You should not put the integer at here, direct integers, numerical, not the integer, it's a numerical values you should not put. And you have to be pass it a boolean type. And if you give it as a string, let's take if you give it as a string value, that is also not the valid. See, within the quotations, if you put anything, it considered as a string type. Okay, this is also not the valid case. So that is for while scenario. Now we are going to write it with the actual scenarios. Let's take, you have a bunch of elements, how you can retrieve it. So for that, what I'm doing, I'm taking one array element, int array 1 8 2 9. So this is array element, but I guess this name already it's in use. Let's remove this to b. Let me check that why it is giving. Okay, I need to tell that this is array notation. Okay, so it is square braces, once open it and close it. This is array notation. This array is having 4 elements. So these 4 elements is having, b is pointing to that. Okay, so if I display this information, I can use while a less than, let me do one way, int I starts from 1, I less than b dot length dot println b of I. Then it require increment operator. So finally here it leads to just append some string it here. Otherwise the first statement whatever it is here, and this result will not be distinguished. Okay, that is the reason I'm just giving some string it here, array value. If I run it, see, these are the array values 8 to 9, because it's 0. Usually array starts from 0, but I gave it as 1. That is the reason the first element was missing. If I change it to 0, then it will come as first element also. See here, 1 8 2 9. So this is the way you can use it to retrieve the values from the set of array elements. Okay, so similarly do while also,